This is Off Track. Hello and welcome.
You know what? They deserve it.
I'd already eaten some this week, so I figured I'd drink something instead. I was so close to ordering Panera, though, because somebody in the comments did harken back to the days of when I would always be eating Panera on the show.
On the YouTube comments?
I miss it. No, I've never looked at those.
I was going to say, I didn't think you guys read those.
No, it was a Twitter. It was a Twitter
comment.
Read
those.
Is this where we get the most hate about eating?
This is where it came last week. There was a lot. And then there were some people who were just like, this is what the show is. Like, just gotta. Now that he's not here, we get a lot of hate for Rossi when he like puts his mouth right up to the microphone.
When he does this, or when he goes like this onto a topic, and then he comes back into here, and it's always just. And look, guys, we've told him so many times not to do that and explain how microphones work.
And you could vouch for me that when we do tell him, he does it more intentionally.
Yeah.
So it's
usually met with a "f you, Tim," and then he just ignores it and carries right on. So yeah, we get it, man. We guys, we share your frustrations, but that's Alex's charm, right?
We're only
right
like 7 or 8 years into this. We're still new.
Wait, is this our 400th episode?
No, Tuesdays was.
Oh my God, and we didn't even mention it. Oh my God, Rossi wasn't there, and we didn't even mention it. Wow. Well, guys, yeah, you'll notice that it was Off Track with Hinch or Rossi on Tuesday. It is again on Thursday, just due to some life circumstances, which I'm sure you could probably put together. So we did 2 quick things. Tuesday was our 400th episode. Tim.
Can you cheers sparkling water? Is that good luck? Is that bad luck? I'm going to do it.
Cheering with Diet Coke, so yeah, it's fine. Here's to you. And look, here's really to the listeners, guys. Thank you for
400 of these.
That's so offensive. The thing is there's probably 1 or 2 people that have listened to all of them.
I bet there's more, because I've seen a few people on Twitter be like, gonna start from the beginning and go through, and they'll like provide updates, and I'm just like, oh, that's
yeah, but
rough.
They must not realize there's 400 of these things, because at some point you're gonna be like, oh, we're only in 2019. I'm out. I'm gonna just skip ahead to current day and present day, or maybe like, no. Oh my God, I can't even believe we've spoken to each other for that much time.
And I'm listening to like a 17-hour audiobook on the Titanic. So it's not like I have high standards for things that need to be interesting, right?
Okay, first of all, that is insanely interesting. Second of all, send me the link to whatever book that is, because I now want to listen to it.
Yeah, on it.
And third of all, I actually feel worse for you, because you have to listen to it to edit it, and then you do your last listen. So you've listened to like
3 times
1,200,
minimum,
like 1,200 episodes worth of stuff. Oh, that's just horrific. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm there while we record, unfortunately.
That doesn't count. Yeah. It's not as funny when you make the jokes about yourself. We're supposed to shoot you down. God.
Well, Alex isn't here, so somebody had to.
That's true. It's got to be 2 people making fun of Tim on every episode.
It's in the contract.
Sirius did insist on that, weirdly. They were very pushy about it. Very, very firm on that point. So that was the first thing from the Tuesday episode. The second thing from the Tuesday episode, I wanted to put a little button on the Indy 500 Montreal. Oh, damn it. If I've got to watch the movable bezel and it moves off of exactly in the middle,
I have to.
Yeah.
This clock right here is 4 minutes fast right now, but it's one of those things where it like turns the thing. So I have to push it forward 23 hours and 56 minutes to get it correct.
No, you just take the battery out for 4 minutes.
That makes more sense.
Although, to be fair, in my house, every watch and clock is 4 minutes to 5 minutes fast, because that's how I prefer my timepieces to be.
I was just wondering if you do that just to trick Becky into being punctual.
No, I just lie to her what time we're leaving.
Got it. That's smarter.
Yeah. It's like when you have Brazilian teammates, you have to tell, like, if you're like sharing a ride to the track from the hotel in the morning. I had multiple Brazilian teammates in my junior Formula career, and every single one of them, I had to lie by 15 to 30 minutes as to when the car was leaving.
We used to do that to my mom growing up, but like some of us would change the clock to be a little faster. Others would lie about like when things were. And we realized like it had gone too far. Cause like at her office was like 20 minutes off. The kitchen clock was like 10 minutes off. Like nothing was consistent. Like,
Too hard to keep track. Too hard to keep track.
We all had to come together on a certain thing.
So on the Indy Montreal thing, as if you listen to Tuesday, and you should have, if you haven't, please go back and listen and then like and subscribe.
Get through the other 399 first.
First, of course. So, or else what are you even celebrating? We've mentioned multiple times how this isn't a research-based show. I've subsequently done a bit of research. It turns out that that's only a next year thing, and it will not be on Memorial Day weekend. Well,
oh, okay.
At least for 4 more years. I guess the way this calendar works and the way they've kind of structured their schedule, they reckon it's going to happen once every 5 years. So,
did they give a reason? That seems weird.
It does seem weird. Again, I didn't look too far into it. I just read this line and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm slightly less angry now. And it also seems slightly less pointed now. You know, it seems like there might be some weird logistical reason as to why. Anyway, I'm less mad. It's 1 year. We're still going to smash them on ratings. So whatever. How was your weekend, bud?
Not bad. I'm trying to think if I did anything. You know what? So, like, Hazel went with her mom to Boston last week, and the week before, Hazel was in Indy for the Indy 500. So we did nothing.
Sweet.
Like, we were just, it was sit around the house, played a lot of Fortnite, watched a lot of movies, introduced her to the Truman Show because I want her to have a little bit of anxiety about that maybe being real for the rest of her life, like I do. Everybody has that, right? Like you're a little worried.
Well, so I went through that phase where I was like fully convinced that like someone in my immediate vicinity was true. I felt like we were all not in on it, which then kind of like grew into just simulation theory. So I'm kind of more on the simulation theory bandwagon now more than I am like the Truman Show thing. Like, you really think you're the star of the show?
I would watch that show.
Yeah, you are the only one that would find you do interesting.
I've had a weird go. Right? Like, you got to
be
imagine.
Fair, you've got a pretty entertaining story. Yeah, you know what? In hindsight, I can't wait to listen to your audiobook.
Like, because I was like, well, no, you'd have to be super arrogant to think that like millions of people. And it's like, well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Truman just had like a 9 to 5 and lived in a suburban sort of Stepford type place and didn't really have a lot going on. You had got a couple interesting chapters. In the tale of Thim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we won't get into those until some statute of limitations go away.
Can we call it the tale of Thim? Can that be the title of your book?
No. No, if I wrote a book, it would be called It Just Kind of Happens to Me.
That's weirdly appropriate for you. Yeah. That is weirdly appropriate for you. Yeah. Title
or the names I've dropped along the way.
That is a great title. It's not a great title for you. You're not as bad at that as you are making yourself out to be.
Really? Because I was talking to my friend George Clooney about it the other day, and he was saying...
Why couldn't you have picked one of your actual celebrity friends, and then that way at least it seemed somewhat plausible?
That was funnier.
That was funny. That was very good. God, I hate when you get one. I hate when you really sneak one in there. I've got to find a way to steal that joke, too.
You will.
Yeah, I will. Oh, man. Oh, I heard a really good one that I wanted to steal. Not from you. Oh, no, it was, what was it from?
This is quality content we're making right now.
No. I forget what it was, but someone, the phrase was like, I wanted to slap the taste out of your mouth. Like, slap the taste out of your mouth. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one.
I think I've heard that one before, but yeah, it is good.
It may have been in a show or a movie that I heard it.
All right, well, let's talk about your weekend because you did actual stuff. You went and hung out with the legend himself, Jacques Villeneuve.
I did, and many of his friends and compatriots. So Jacques got he's one of the owners of this members club racetrack, kind of similar to the Thermal Club, just like the Canadian version, so just way poorer. Like, it doesn't have mansions all around it, but it is actually a way nicer racetrack. The track itself is really, really cool. I did this last year. We talked about it last year, but it was so much fun getting to. I got a few more laps on it this time in a sporty car, and they did a really good job designing this racetrack. Like, if you are a motoring enthusiast and you enjoy doing track days of sorts, I mean, they've got a school there if you want to do the school thing and just learn to be a better driver. Or I'm sure there's track days where you could go and bring your car up if you're that in that world. But it's one of the coolest and kind of most challenging school type tracks and like member type tracks I've ever seen. And, you know, Jacques is very like particular about things. If you like read the news and you ever hear his quotes, he's very direct and he's very just like, he's got his opinions and that's it. But he's very bright and he's got a lot of good ideas. So anyway, this is his track. He does a big kind of members appreciation weekend with the GM, guy called Bill. And they host this big event for all the members of the club. And we do some cool events and some cool dinners, meet lots of fun people, see lots of cool cars. I got to reconnect with a couple old friends, some fellow Canadian racing types. And it's in this really small town called Osoyoos in British Columbia. And it's like on this gorgeous lake outside Kelowna, BC, which some people may have heard of. I always joke that Kelowna is like our Lake Tahoe, right? It's like super nice lake out on the West Coast, a lot of big properties, stuff like that. So about 2 hours from there is this place. And it's like a really small like lake community. And it's got like one bar. And so the kids that I know, like the guys that I know, kind of grew up working there and like being instructors and stuff. So they spent a lot of summers there, and they took me to like the one bar called the Owl after one of the events one night. And it was one of these things where it was like, we did an event at the track, shut down at like midnight or something like that. But it was one of the people that we were with. It was her birthday. And so we're like, we're going out. Like, clearly not a good idea. But we end up going out to the one bar, shut that bar down, ended up back at some guy in the property that was staying with us, like staying for the event, back in his hotel room, and then shut that down at some point. Still to get up and go like work the next day at the track, but got the full Osoyoos experience, which involved cornhole that was about 5 feet apart from each other. I am really good at cornhole when it's 5 feet apart.
When it's 5 feet apart, yeah. I think everybody is.
I don't like the way you said that, Tim.
Good. That was how I intended it.
Good. And then I had a bit of a difficult travel leg back.
Is that what we're using as the excuse for leaving me hanging this morning?
Yeah. So again, we alluded to this on Tuesday. Why don't you explain to the group what happened?
Okay. Well, scheduling this show can be tough.
It's our single biggest challenge.
Yeah, because you guys are pretty busy and you travel a lot. And so occasionally that means I get a text that says, hey, we have to record at 8:30 on Tuesday. But
morning.
We always talk in Eastern because we just needed to have like a standard time zone because everybody travels so much. So 8:30 a.m. is 5:30 a.m. for me. Mm-hmm. So that was the case this morning. Your choice to live, in California. Whatever, it's fine. Carry on. So, well, I'm not allowed in like 48 of those states anymore. So,
back to the statute of limitations that we need to expire for you to do the book.
So went to bed early last night, set an alarm for 5:15 to make sure everything was good. Got up at 5:15 this morning, texted the group, just being like, hey, just confirming we're still on for, 8:30. Get a text back from Alex. Hey, it's going to be about 15 minutes late. Ben's freaking out. Radio silence from James. So go down, feed and walk the dog, do all this stuff. 5:45 rolls around. Alex is saying, hey, I can't make it. Ben's freaking out too much. I need to, and I know I had a hard out at 6:30 a.m. because I had to wake my daughter up. Nothing from James. So James just never responds. And I think to myself, well, he's been traveling, so he's probably just overslept and we'll figure it out, right? About an hour later, I'm driving Hazel to school and I get a text from Becky, James's wife, who we like more than James, saying, hey, did James make the podcast this morning? I was like, funny you should mention it. He sure didn't. She's like, well, I can't get a hold of him. So So now I'm worried, right? Because I'm like, well, it wasn't me that hit the gas like that one time he was on Dancing with the Stars and I almost killed him. So at least I'm not culpable on this one. But did something happen? So I'm texting Alex. I'm like, I think you're going to need to swing by James's place. Or I'm like, I was getting ready to call my stepdad and be like, hey, I need you to go to go make sure James is okay. When sure enough, she gets a hold of you and you end up being fine. So what happened on your end that you overslept by how many hours?
Right. So a couple things. First of all, if for future emergencies where you need to get me, Bobby does live closest to me of our immediate friends.
Got it.
So,
okay.
And then second, I just want to touch back on the time when you did almost try to kill me by turning on the gas accidentally on the stove.
We don't know that it was
apartment.
me. It could have been you that bumped into it.
Very, very sure it was you. Anyway, so you see what had happened was I was flying. So again, as I mentioned, we had a late night the night before. And then I was flying home. So this would be Monday morning out of Penticton, British Columbia. Very small airport.
Yeah, we all know that one. Yeah, everybody here knows that. Yeah.
Yeah, big tourist destination. And well, it actually is. But the airport's quite small. So my flight path was Penticton to Calgary, Calgary to Minneapolis, Minneapolis to Indianapolis.
I feel like Minneapolis was the first real place you mentioned there. Like you may as well have been like, well, I went from Narnia to Hogwarts and then Hogwarts to Minneapolis.
I mean, Calgary's kind of a town.
Sure.
So
is that near Rivendell where they did the Council
God,
of Elrond?
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. I mean, in my defense, I'd rather be living in Calgary right now than where you are. Based on the happenings outside your window right now.
It has not been that bad.
Anyway, so I had a delay getting, I had a plan, right? Guys, this is a travel podcast because we're all expert travelers. And I had a plan on when to eat and where I was going to go and all the stuff. And I planned it all out. I had my day mapped out. So first plane was a little bit delayed. And that meant I had planned on eating in Calgary on the first layover. So the plane was delayed, and then I flew into Calgary, and because I was on a super small plane out of a super small place, and I was now going international, I had to literally cross the entire airport, which, despite what you think, Tim, is a big enough city to have a pretty big airport. So I had to cross the entire thing, and I then had to leave the airport, come back in, recheck in, go through U.S. Customs, et cetera, et cetera. So I needed to do all that before I could contemplate eating. And then by the time the plane landed late, I walked, 3 kilometers.
You know what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's 1.823 something miles.
Something like that. Anyway.
Sorry, 1.875 miles.
There you go. So then I had to leave, clear. Guys, I had to go back through security. Canada needs to grow up when it comes to airport security. It's just It needs to step up. For the first time in I don't know how long. I get that they don't have TSA pre. They should. There needs to be some equivalent of that. But even without that, I had to take off not just my shoes, my belt, my watch. I had to empty every liquid in my toiletries bag into a little plastic bag. I know they do that in England and stuff. But even for just normal security, when I fly, if you fly domestically in the US, you take your shoes off. Maybe your belt's got to come off. I've never taken a watch off going through a metal detector in my life. And anyway, it was just the most annoying and long-winded process. Get back through that, go through customs. There's not quite enough time to get food. So now I'm like, damn it. All right, I'm going to go get a bar or whatever from the convenience store, the Hudson or whatever the equivalent is. And then we'll get on the plane and I'll eat in Minneapolis. Well, then my Minneapolis flight started getting delayed. Now, it was that annoying, being delayed in kind of 15-minute increments, so you could never leave.
The worst, yeah.
But by the time we boarded the plane, I would have had so much time to have gone and had an actual meal in Calgary, which I was not able to do because I was never able to leave the thing. So then I get on the plane. I have a snack on the plane, but now we're so delayed going to Minneapolis that I'm like,
don't have time to eat. Yeah.
Starting to lose my ability to have time to eat. And I'll be honest with you, Tim, I was getting hangry.
Which is also a shame because I love the Minneapolis airport.
Let me get there. So we get there, and we've talked about our love of Minneapolis, St. Paul Airport. So I get there, and it's like on the edge of enough time to eat, but now I've just smashed so many snacks because I was so hungry and getting really cranky that like I can't quite tell how hungry I am or whatever. So I get to Minneapolis and decide to go get something to eat, but it wasn't like a proper meal because I wasn't sure how much time I had, and I'd had enough snacks. I was like, I just need something to get me through this next flight, which was then also delayed and delayed and delayed. And so the good news is if you're going to get trapped in an airport, MSP is one I'm very happy getting trapped in for a little bit of time. But still, it was when you have a day where you're doing 3 flights anyway, which is already a little bit outside the norm. To have delays on all 3 flights and extended layovers, essentially. Well, I guess they weren't extended because they were shortened on the front end, but then also lengthened on the back end. They probably were actually the exact amount of time I was supposed to be at each airport, just in a way that made it kind of unmanageable. It reminded me, so I'm going to have a little first world vent here. You fly business class fairly often, right, Tim?
I get some upgrades more than I should. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, sometimes, especially on those long flights, like from LA to Indianapolis, for example, there's a meal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And look, those planes usually have like 4 or 5 rows of business class. It's not like a ton of people, right? Like it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever been in like row 4 or 5 and they start coming down and offering you the options, and then by the time they get to you,
they're out of the options and you're stuck with whatever the terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. You're stuck with the vegetarian option.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this happened when I was really hangry on one of these flights. This happened.
What'd you get stuck with?
Well, so first of all, they only had 2 options, which is fine. Like only 2 options. Again, guys, please keep this in a relative frame of mind here, right? I'm not bitching in absolution. I'm bitching in a very concentrated thing here. So the options were a chicken sandwich or a vegetarian sandwich, which is a very open-ended description. And I'm hangry. I just cannot wait to eat something. And they get to us, and I'm in the last row, and they get to our row, and like they start on the other side of the plane, and they have options. And then when they get to me and the guy sitting next to me, no more options. It is just a vegetarian sandwich. And I was just like, yeah, cool. Sounds good. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, the cost of running an airplane.
At least $12 a flight.
I'm going to guess that the bottom line on a flight from Minneapolis to Indianapolis, or from Calgary rather to Minneapolis, that having an extra 2, because I'm pretty sure everybody took the chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
So the added cost of having enough of the main meal for everyone to choose cannot be a bank-breaking number, right? I looked it up. Vegetarianism, 6% of the population in the United States is vegetarian. Now, let's say... I don't know
if that feels low or high.
I don't know. I couldn't guess. I was trying to figure out the percentages in this cabin and how they did their math and landed on the numbers they did. And I looked it up, and this is what I was told. It was like 6-ish%. Now, fine, 6% are vegetarian, and I'll even give you a couple extra because sometimes people who aren't vegetarian just don't feel like eating meat at a given meal. Becky does that sometimes. Cool. Let's bump it all the way up to 10. Let's give you guys like an insane percentage more than you already have. It still doesn't add up. You should have enough food. You should only have 10% vegetarian meals if that's the population that eats vegetarian. Also, for the number of seats we're talking, just have enough chicken sandwiches for everybody. Just do that. Do we not do that?
Yeah. Feels fair.
Does that seem an unreasonable thing?
Yeah. I got nothing.
I don't want a rabbit food sandwich, you know?
Yeah, the vegetarian sandwich, your food eats, to paraphrase Ron Swanson.
So basically now I just have to make sure, everybody has to just make sure you're like sitting in row 2. So that way you can never get busted. Because it happens when you're flying, across the Atlantic to England and you're in row 37 and they come back and it's chicken, beef, or pasta. And by the time they get back to row 37, they're out of the pasta and you're stuck with chicken or beef. I've had that before. This is not a business class thing. This is a plane thing. whoever's in the back third of the cabin, whatever cabin you're in, you're getting hosed on meal choices, and I don't respect that.
Okay, well, I want it known, despite all of these very good but first world problem issues, I'm still going to title this episode James Ruins Everything.
I'm not entirely sure how we landed there.
Well, you didn't have to wake up at 5:15 for no reason, did you?
No, but you didn't wake up at 5:15 for me.
Woke up for both of you, but I can't blame Ben.
Well, yeah, but Alex set the original time.
Yeah, but I can't blame Ben. Alex was up.
And because Alex also didn't make it, whether I made it to the show or not was actually irrelevant. Oh my God, we never even got to this part. I was too busy bitching about food, about why I slept in.
Oh, right.
So we keep getting delayed. So I end up getting home at like 1:30 or whatever. Try to go to bed. Set my alarm for 8, I think. Maybe. I was pretty tired. And woke up at 7, because I always wake up at 7. Doesn't matter what time zone I'm in. I wake up at 7. And it was light out, and I'm like, oh, I need this extra hours. I got home late. I'm really tired. Put my eye mask on. Put sleep sounds on. Went back to sleep. Becky has us on this kick of turning our phones to airplane mode when we sleep. And so I had done that. And because, like if you call
I want to clarify, why is it on, why?
Oh, because I don't know, like radio signals next to your brain on your bedside table. Yeah, she's ignoring the fact that there's Wi-Fi throughout the whole world.
And when you put it on that, do you get rid of the Bluetooth? Do you turn Bluetooth off?
No, Wi-Fi's on, Bluetooth's on, everything else is on.
Got it. Yeah.
I guess
you guys got an Alexa in there?
Right next to the phone. There's an Alexa.
Yep. With both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capable.
Yeah, obviously. Yep. And then the light bulbs in the lamps.
Oh yeah, the Wi-Fi.
Those are Bluetooth hooked up to Alexa as well.
Mine too, by the way. I'm not judging those.
Yes. So I had it on. So because if you call like 3 times in a row or something, even if it's on silent, it'll ring.
Yeah.
Well, not if the cell service is disconnected.
Mode. Yeah.
Right. So I'm on airplane mode, and so I at about 10 something, I'm sleeping, and my brain clocks that the rain sound on my phone stopped. And so I'm like, why did that happen? And so I reach over to grab my phone, and it's Becky FaceTiming me, and I look at the clock, and it's like 10:20 or something. Oh boy. Because not only did I now completely blow through the show, I was also supposed to have already picked up Sully, who was being watched by our friends Brian and Katie all weekend. So I had told Brian I was going to be there at like 10. It was now 10:30. He had to leave for a golf game. I had not left them enough food for Sully to have breakfast because I was going to be picking him up first thing in the morning. So now my poor dog has been not fed breakfast. Brian's late for his golf game. I just feel terrible. You wake up in that panic. It's the worst.
You disappointed so many people. So early in the day.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, glad you're not dead, I guess.
Same.
I mean, kind of. I'll get you next time.
So we had this group chat going with Brian and Katie, who are watching Sully, because they've got a dog, Arthur. And these two are just like best friends, and they just play all day and whatever. And so we were just getting all these constant updates and pictures and stuff. And Katie kept sending us these pictures of like Sully cuddling her in bed. And Sully never does that. Like with us, like Becky's trying so hard to get him to be a snuggler. And he's just like, he'll go to like your feet, but he won't like come and like Weller used to just like lay on top of you, which is like a teddy bear. And so she's like sending all these pictures, and Becky's like, oh my God, he doesn't snuggle us like that. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And then Katie's like, yeah, we're heading to bed early, just getting ready for that 5 a.m. wake up. And Becky and I were like, oh my God, he's not waking you up at 5 a.m., is he? And she's like, no, but sometimes he'll like get up and he'll come up to the side of the bed and like nudge you a little bit or just look at you and then, whatever. And Becky was like, oh yeah, when he does that, just yell at him to go back to his bed. I mean, I throw pillows at him sometimes. And I was just like, gee, weird that he doesn't love coloring you.
Yeah.
So I feel like there might be
if you get a taser and you just sleep with it on the bedside table, but no Wi-Fi.
I don't wear belts, but I mean I keep them beside the bed just so that I can when he's really acting up. And by that I mean looking at you adorably with these big brown eyes, just wanting to say hi. So yeah, I think there's going to be a new strategy moving forward.
Well, solid excuse. I promise I won't name this episode James Ruins Everything.
Just James ruins some things.
No, it's going to be James Ruins Everything.
No, God damn it. Rude.
All right. Well, in the, 8 minutes we have left, should we talk about the race this weekend?
Sure. We can do that. We're going back to Gateway. Last year at Gateway did not end super well for old Alejandro. So he's going to be hoping for a bit of a stronger run. It's a place that, like, we have a few guys that just are not randomly, but like a few guys perform exceptionally well there. The obvious one is Joseph. He's won it 5 times, including last year after spinning off of 2 and still winning the race. David Malukas, he got podiums there in 2 years with Dale Coyne and was fighting for the lead essentially last year when he and Will had some contact and he ended up crashing out. Connor always runs really well there. McLaughlin runs really well there. He's actually got the highest average finish of drivers with at least 4 starts, which is funny considering Joseph's won like 5 of 9, but he's obviously had some DNFs or something to bring that average down. So yeah, those are, if you're a gambling man or woman, Joseph's a good bet. Connor's a good bet. McLaughlin's a good bet. Lucas is a good bet. I think Rossi's going to have a good one. So Rossi's a good bet. So there's your 5. Make sure you get your grid rival fantasy lineup set and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Are you winning on that?
So I was winning the Fox team thing after Indy. Well, Sunday after Indy, I was winning the Fox one. By Monday, I was no longer winning because the results were adjusted for the adjustment in the actual results of the race. So that hurt me in that one. So bummed about that. In the Hinchtown Hammerdown League, I've moved up. I actually am doing not terrible. I'm like 150th out of like a couple. Let's see where we're at. Hang on. Did you do one? I'm 132nd. 132nd out of 1,800, which isn't bad because one week I forgot to set my lineup. But I'm confident about the Fox one. I'm gonna rally a comeback on that. But yeah, night race, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that'll be great. I always love night races, and I'm so glad to see one back on the schedule. I missed Phoenix when it was dark. That was always fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't because it was a bad race, but it was fun doing night races.
It was fun to be there, and it just looked so cool.
Iowa was a night race at a time. That was always fun.
Yeah. What do you think it is about this track that suits? Like,
certain
I know
people?
Newgarden's always good with ovals, so it kind of makes sense. But he seems particularly good at the short ovals. What is it that suits him and suits Connor and that kind of thing?
I think Joseph's just good at short ovals because there are a few things about short ovals that are universal and you sort of need to have to be good at any of them. Milwaukee, Iowa, Gateway, Phoenix, whatever. But I think why you see a few more guys stand out at Gateway specifically is Gateway is a lot kind of like Phoenix was in the sense that one end of the racetrack is so different from the other. Milwaukee, it's not that different. Iowa, it's not that different. Even when we raced at places like Loudon, not that different. But Phoenix was always a bad race, but Phoenix and Gateway are similar in that like 1 and 2 are a completely different radius, different speed, different banking than 3 and 4. And you set up the car for one end, it's going to feel terrible at the other and vice versa. So it's really the driver and the team that get the car kind of the most okay-ish, or at least are more comfortable with a less comfortable balance at one end of the track or the other, right? So if you don't mind being a little bit free in 3 and 4, if you're comfortable with that, then you're going to have less understeer in 1 and 2 and be stronger there. Or if, again, you need a planche in 3 and 4, but you're comfortable maybe going a little bit higher in 1 and 2 in traffic to get some clean air and dial out some of that understeer, then you're going to be, you're going to be quick there. So I think it's something about the drivers that are comfortable having those kind of different balances. And, again, what we're doing this weekend, which we did last year to such success, and I give IndyCar so much credit for it, as we're doing that Highline session again. So everybody's got to go run around in that second lane because it made the race so much better last year. And yeah, now we're doing it again, proper proper nighttime race. 8 p.m. is the start time. 8 p.m. on Fox.
Okay.
It'll be Eastern time, by the way.
I kind of hope, I obviously want Alex to win everything, but if he doesn't, I kind of hope Scotty Mack wins because I want a new dad to win on Father's Day.
Oh, there you go. Oh, it's Father. Yeah. New dad went on Father's Day. Fellow girl dad. Yeah, I think again, he's got the best finishing average of people there. So, dude, there was this stat, though. I'm going to bring this back up to Alex next time he decides to join us for the show. But
September, probably.
Let's not. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't know.
When Ben goes to college.
There was it was brought up how Scotty Mack's got a great finishing average for at least 3 starts at Gateway, or at least 4 starts, I think. So in 4 starts, 3.5 is his finishing average. So then our stats guru, Russ Thompson, decided to look at all the tracks where drivers had strong averages. And of at least 3 starts, in the top 8 examples where a driver's got a high finishing average with at least 3 starts at a track, Alex Palou is 5 of them.
So we're just going to go back. We're just going back to Palou.
Yeah. In 4 starts, you can't have a week on an IndyCar-ish podcast and not talk about Palou. In 4 starts...
I meant the race, not us.
Yeah. That's fair. He's probably going to win this one. So in 4 starts at Portland, his average finish is 4th. In 3 starts at Toronto, his average finish is 4th. In 5 starts at Long Beach, his average finish is 3.4. In 5 starts at Barber, his average finish is 2.8. And in 4 starts at Laguna, his average finish is 1.75.
Checks out.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Other ones on the list, Colton Herta at Toronto, 3.25. McLaughlin at Gateway, 3.5. And Kirkwood at the new Detroit street track, 3.67. So Alex Palou, also a good bet for this weekend, if that's what you're into.
I don't know. Does he ever win?
Nah. Also, something happened. I don't even remember what it was. Something happened last week after the race or something. I don't know. But somebody did some like obnoxious tweet and tagged a bunch of drivers in it. And we've talked about this before. It lit up a whole fan group. And I don't even think he was attacking the drivers. I think he was just like one of these, he wanted to be heard or something. And so all these fans started going at him and he started fighting back. And so it was like 3 or 4 people just having this constant back and forth on Twitter about this one thing. And they have completely please untag us. Please stop doing that. If you're going to go back and forth, we don't care. I promise you, we don't care. And it just makes people angry. If you that's not just us, that's anybody. If you're mad at a person in a Twitter exchange, just respond to that one person. Let's not drag everyone else into it.
They tagged you. I'm going to look up whatever this was.
They tagged me. I don't remember who else was in it. This was it was after the race last week.
Oh, I don't care enough. I'm not going to do that.
I'm also not going to go back and do it.
All right. Well, thanks for finally getting up to do this today.
Yeah, I figured it was worthwhile.
We should have changed shirts.
I did think about that afterwards, but then I also don't care all that
That's
much.
fair. I am in pajamas still.
See, you have no excuse. It is 2:00 in the afternoon there.
I work from home.
Yeah, but I feel like you work how you dress, which is why this was a sloppy episode from both of us. Thanks for tuning in to episode 401 of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Thim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Thim.